Good morning, everybody, and a happy Tuesday morning to you. A big thank you to that one on Twitter for the above photo. I'm gonna learn how to do these one day, I swear. Unfortunately, there is no royal family news in this video. It's straight up Harry and Meghan. So let's just jump in because, as usual, there's a ton to cover. Let's go. Immediately, we're starting right off with this whole thing that every time Meghan kisses Harry, she cups his face. Now, I've always said the reason she does that is because it covers up his face and leaves her face in a full show. You know what I'm saying? So, while body language people want to say it reveals a deeper meaning behind her love, and the key difference between her doing that and her doing that to her TV show guy on Suits was because clearly she's a fan of facial cupping, and it didn't mean anything on Suits, but it means everything with Harry. Like, what? They're saying on Suits she had more finger digging into the face, but with Harry not. Listen, this facial cupping gives her control over the scene. It makes sure that she is front and center and not Harry. People are looking at her, not at Harry, because she can't see Harry because she's got her fingers clamped to his face. I mean, it shows that she's in charge, but also she gets to show off her ring because we know she has to do that at every freaking turn. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Tig. In July of 2021, it looks like an attorney filed an application to trademark the name of the Tig. It was done under one of their Delaware holding companies. They have all these companies. This particular one was called Frim Fram. And it was done, they're saying, to prevent false branding and to avoid others trying to be Meghan or affiliated with her. However, her application was denied. She's had lots of problems. So 6 months ago, she tried again, and the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office said it was too broad and the paperwork was unsigned. So now she's gotten a different attorney and she's trying again. She is trying to trademark the Tig in 5 different areas: travel, interior design, food preparation, health and wellness, and personal relationships. Let's hope this time she pays the $1,700 fee. Cross your fingers and let's see how this goes, because as usual, plagiarist Meghan strikes again. There was another blog started in 2007 called, guess what, The Tig. It was an independent lifestyle media brand that talked about digital publication, social network, online shopping, and a weekly newsletter. Let's see if they protest. Let's move on now to this rebranding thing. They're saying, if you can believe it or not, that Meghan is actually not to blame for the last PR disaster. Excuse me? Meghan is surrounded by employees, PR professionals, and researchers who would have been the ones helping her. So you really shouldn't blame her. No, I think we should blame her because it's obvious she doesn't take advice from anybody. In an attempt to help stop this negative perception of Meghan, a member of the Netflix crew just happened to step up and say Meghan made everybody feel welcome and even brought them all a gift on the last day. She gave a speech and graciously gifted Art Place pans and wooden spoons for the entire crew and engraved them in her own handwriting. I mean, she can't even give a gift without, making sure everybody knows about it. And of course, they're merching the pans. They tell you where you can get it. From what I can tell from Royal Terrier and from what's on the website, this stuff really just isn't that great. And if you look at the top of the lid, it says, "We saved you a seat." Remember, a seat at the table. So she's absolutely helping to merch this product. Now on Twitter, there's somebody with the handle Fit Button who made this meme that points out that Meghan is really trying so hard to make sure that everybody loves her, and it's not working. She also made this meme and said she looked up Meghan's handwriting. It's called the Felon's Claw. It's a specific pattern where the bottom loop of a letter extends upwards, creating a sharp claw-like appearance. And by the way, it's a sign of dishonesty or manipulative behavior. One of the products that supposedly, allegedly, we're getting ready to see is Meghan's raspberry spread. Now, of course, we've seen her cooking it slowly on the stovetop, but in truth, it will be mass produced. This is actually the kind of treatment your strawberries and raspberries are going to get before they end up in a jar on your table. So you can get the picture out of your head of Meghan slow cooking this stuff very naturally with everything on a stovetop before it ends up in your house, because this is actually what you're going to get. Now, here's the kicker part. Are you guys ready? Meghan Markle's products will not be ready or for sale until months after the show drops. So the thought process for me is, if the show is a complete failure, you won't see the products at all. At the very least, not by Netflix, because if they can't get a winning show, why would they sell her products? Another product that Meghan is going to have trouble selling under this As Ever brand is clothing. I've told you guys before that she's probably going to try to sell Lilibet clothing, a Lilibet dolls, and a little bit this and that. However, she cannot sell any clothing of any kind under the new As Ever brand because there is a company in China. It's a cut-price Chinese clothing company with the same name. When I say clothing, I mean clothing of any time, because she's been trying to get a patent and trademark since October of 2022. That's when they applied for permission to sell aprons and other items of clothing, along with the jams and dog biscuits. But they issued a 145-page rejection letter in July of 2023 saying she could not sell the clothing because the name was too similar to the Chinese fashion-forward brand As Ever. It is a clothing company that supplies popular high street stores like Harry and David, who also objected, by the way. The trademark office said the marks are identical in sound and virtually identical in appearance and confusingly similar for the purposes of determining likelihood of confusion. The clothing category is a no. So fast forward 6 months, they revised their application. They removed any mention of clothing, and then the trademark As Ever was approved. This is why I think personally she's reviving the TIG. The stuff that she can't sell on the As Ever site, or that she can't list there, she's going to list on the TIG. That's just my personal opinion, but that's what I think is going to happen. Truth is, she really wants people to like her, and she's fighting to show you her authentic self. The problem is, we already know her authentic self. There have been, when there's smoke, there's fire. She's been accused of bullying on both sides of the pond. They can't keep staff members. We know who she is. You can try to tell us, but we've seen it with our own eyes. Next up, I spoke to you on Saturday about South Park. Well, it looks like another compilation of parodies on Harry and Meghan at the Invictus Games 29-25 is up. As you can see, that's the account above. I don't believe this is actually a real South Park episode, but they do have a lot of stuff on there. It's absolutely hilarious. You guys need to go watch it because they actually do a really good job. All right. They're talking, by the way, in it about, the endless public affection and the ridiculous amounts of clothing. All right, let's move on. Let's drop into what I consider one of the biggest stories of today. They're actually putting out a graph showing all the missteps of Harry and Meghan and, where it all went wrong for them. And one of the things this article points out is that even after Harry wore his Nazi uniform and he played strip billiards and all of this stuff, the public really understood him and liked him. Apparently, the goodwill continued when he married Meghan Markle. However, it all went to hell when they decided to leave. So here's some of the things they did that did not go down well. The crap that they pulled when Archie was born, about the announcement. They said she was in labor when actually supposedly she already had the baby. How about when they were standing in one of the poorest areas of Africa and Meghan was like, nobody asked me if I'm okay. How about Megxit? This was the thing that really got them, especially after they started attacking the family. One of their first attacks was the Oprah interview, which of course we've already debunked, where they attacked the family knowing the family could not respond. Then we have the whole debacle of using the Queen's nickname, which really upset her right before she died. How about them showing up in New York with Meghan dripping in jewels at a school where 96% of the kids were on free lunches? You have Uvalde, where she used the death of children to try to become the people's princess, and it backfired spectacularly. Not long after that, we had the death of the queen. Now, there was a bit of a sympathy push there, and people liked them a little bit better after her death, but then, yeah. Then, of course, we had the 6-part Netflix docuseries where the two of them said the most horrible things. And then, of course, Meghan did that fake curtsy, and this really had a negative effect on the public's perception. Then you had Despair, with a lot of people coming away from the book that Harry was vengeful, spoiled, and selfish. Then we had the South Park. We talked about that already, about it damaged them because Meghan's popularity fell by 4% and Harry's by 3% in the United States. And then, of course, we have all the awards that Harry and Meghan run around grabbing that they haven't really earned. And the Pat Tillman Award, that didn't go well at all. So with all of the scandals and controversies and all of the stuff, they still have that dedicated fan base, the Sussex Squad. But other than that, Now, of course, they are not the most disliked member of the family. The most disliked member of the family is Andrew, expectedly so. All right, let's move on. Let's move on now to what I consider the second biggest stories of the day. The former senior aide to the Sussexes, the one who accused Meghan Markle of bullying the staff, gave an interview to 60 Minutes. He discussed a lot of stuff. I think he showed a lot of grace because he did say, oh, it was such a magical time. I was helping them with the wedding. But he also said that he wouldn't change a thing that he did, which means coming forward with the bullying allegations and the emails. He did say he wishes them the absolute best, which tells me that this is a man of class. He talked about what William was like after finding out about Catherine's cancer. He said it was just brutal. Could you imagine within a couple of weeks you find that your wife and your father have cancer? He said it was absolutely awful, the lowest I've ever seen him. But the worst problem, he said, was the conspiracy theory stuff that kicked off in the background. They didn't want to say anything because they hadn't told the children yet. They were still working through on how to tell the children. Now, one of the interesting things that they talked about was William's estrangement from Harry. And he said, you know, it's difficult to have this stuff play out in the public eye, and he's chosen to keep his thoughts on it private. And I think those of us who know him really have to respect that. We should do the same. But it's been hard, and especially for us who know both of them. And there was somebody else in there, I don't know who he was, who said, oh yeah, I'm sure they'll all come together, especially when William becomes king. I beg to disagree. You can't talk to people about your brother's children, your brother's wife, say the kind of things that he said about his family and expect them to just with open arms bring them back into the fold, knowing that what was said is going to stand for all time. I'm sorry, I disagree with that. One other thing that was touched on in the interview was William's beard. I don't understand why that beard has become such a point of contention with everybody, but it has. But basically what Jason Knopf said is right on point. If Catherine didn't like the beard, he said, it would be gone. I completely agree with that. Obviously, Catherine likes it. So whenever stuff like that happens, Meghan tries to turn the attention. And this is one of the reasons why I think she even opened an Instagram account. So she just put up a video. She puts this out and she says, a small break from work to soak up the weekend. Well, I think we all remember that it came out that she and Harry work 1 hour a week. So I can't imagine what work. So, okay, she's showing us and by the way, in the background, there's all this noise because apparently she's having her lawn worked on. So, of course, she makes a point of showing the beagle Mia, Mama Mia, or whatever her name is. And she's showing all these different flowers. Look, everything is in bloom, and isn't her property just lovely? And then it continues on and it shows all these blooms. Now, the next thing that happens is a little, I don't know what. You see her pull out a hose and she starts watering some of her property. Well, I found this interesting because California is under a drought and they're not supposed to be watering the property. Where next up, a weird conversation took place. She's watering the garden. She says something to the child and the child says, only if you want me to. I found that very odd because when I had a small child, I would say, here, take the hose, water, not, do you want to? And they would say, only if you want me to. How weird is that? So then she continues on and she's laughing and giggling, and she makes sure that you can see her shirt, which says Northwestern, because we know that that's the same as Diana's shirt. You guys remember that. Now, she's been seen wearing this shirt before. She was wearing it when she got off the plane after Invictus. So once again, it's me, Diana, me, Diana. Divert attention. Get it? And then you see her pick either a tangerine or an orange, or I'm not even sure what the hell that is. And she sits down on her porch and she has an alcoholic drink and she's squeezing it in because she needs a break, because gosh, she works so hard. But once again, she's doing this to divert attention from the 60 Minutes Australia with Jason Knopf. Next up, I just wanted to touch on this. Remember when King Charles was at the Imperial College at London Center for Injury, and he was speaking to that para sports athlete, David Henson? They're just saying they thought it was really interesting that there was an opportunity for the king to acknowledge the Invictus Games with Harry, and instead he said nothing. Yeah, I think that's interesting. And finally, the NAACP had their Image Awards a few days ago. Harry and Meghan were not there's Kerry Washington again, same people over and over, and they gave Kamala Harris an award. So of course, Harry and Meghan had to put out the exciting news about who they gave their award to. Let me remind you that NAACP has agreed to give Harry and Meghan a $100,000 grant, I believe it is, and then they grant the $100,000 grant through Archwell to the winner. So they're actually giving somebody else's money again. All right, now we're going to finish this up with another compilation of memes. You guys are going to love them. Watch this. All right, just a reminder, on my other channel this week, I'm dropping recipes for bread pudding, cream puffs, marry me chicken, and I went to see Riverdance. So there's a lot coming on. So you will find the link to that channel down in the description box, along with the links to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Amazon wish list. There's a link to my father's book, which is still up for sale, and a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.